Well, that's not.
That's your screen.
Uh,
You can click on me, for instance, or click on.
okay. Well, you want to see if you can round up Zoli and Isti? I got to run upstairs for a second.
Okay.
The maid is here. Be right back. Harrison, how come you haven't joined? You send it to me? I thought you said you had it. No, I do not. Okay, let's see here.
I sent them the link, but
Hi guys,
Oh, hey, Zoli.
how things are going?
Things are going pretty good. It's been a very hectic last couple of days.
Because
They wanted to deploy a new form,
Hello?
basically.
It's about. I remember Chuck is working on something. Okay.
Right. On it was for SRO, but it had a lot of changes, and we were getting a different source. And basically, the way they had described it was that, well, we're just going to replace. Hey, Chuck, we're just going to replace the feed, and everything else will be the same. And then on Tuesday, they said, well, that wasn't exactly what we meant. we wanted a lot of stuff done, so it was sort of a mad rush to get it all working.
Good morning, everybody. Afternoon.
Hey, Chuck.
hey,
New exciting way to access Hangouts every week.
I know. Jeez, they keep changing it. I can't figure it out. Anyway, you wouldn't think it'd be that hard, right?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I guess we got everybody. Let's launch right in. Let's start with Zoli. Not Zoli. Let's start with Chavi. Because I know you've been working on the work order sched.
right. Okay, that is deployed. I guess we should review the UI.
Yeah, that'd be great. I hear a chicken. You want to share your screen?
Sure. Okay, so okay, so here is how it looks. For every if then or else then, there is a box around it, so we can.
Right.
Can you see my screen?
I can.
Yeah, we can.
And we can add new ones.
Okay. So, um, on the top box there, we have those two ors.
Yes.
In fact, logically there's one or, right? There's an or between those two because it's this or this.
Yes. Yes.
Well, yes, these are ands. And
Right. So what I'm wondering is if we should make it look like that, place the or between them. Because where it is, it implies that it's tech exists or and not tech, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But if we placed it on the border between the two, then I think it might be clear what's going on.
Mhm.
And then is it possible to indent the add new output block so it's a little clearer?
I think it's indented from right to left, but you suggested that we should indent from left to right. You see that little space on the right side of the output.
Right. But normally, you know, when you're formatting code, you show um, the the action block or whatever you call it, you know, to the
Yes.
indented to the right.
Yes, I agree.
Just hold on, because I'm taking notes. It's
Let me grab a screenshot of this.
okay. What? Can you repeat what you said with the indenting?
Yeah, I just want to make it look more like an if-then-else structure. I mean, it's you and I know what it is, but I'm not sure anyone else would that hasn't been using it. And I think let me share my screen. How do I tell it to share the other screen?
You stop sharing and
How do I stop sharing?
I guess you click on that share icon again.
Okay.
With the one you started sharing.
Share screen. All right. I want to share that screen. There we go. Okay, so basically we have these two ors, right? But that's kind of confusing. It really should be just one between the two. So we have these, and okay, and then this output. Shift that to the right. And then I think what would make this clearer is if up here where we at the top of this, if we had something that actually said if. And then similarly, down here, oh, and then here you'd want a than. And then here it would say else if, right? Then I think it would be clear what this actually is. You know, it would look like a computer code that was an if then else statement.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Um, but hopefully this is just cosmetic. Okay.
Yes, it is.
Let me create a fog buzz for this.
Well, it's
You want me to put an existing one?
yes, 4098. 4098.
Okay. Okay, there it is.
All right, thanks.
Okay, that looks good. What else you got?
Yeah, I I have the execution order of scheduling rules.
Okay. So to get to that,
share my
let's see.
screen.
Share your screen. Okay.
So you just go to work order schedulers, and where it lists the items, you can drag them and place them.
Okay, that looks good. Can we we probably ought to put an indication of the order. You know, put a column name order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's clear that that's what's signified by the order.
And the column should be the first one.
Yeah, I think so. What is that all the way over to the right?
This one.
Yeah.
You can drag it from.
Oh, that's for the drag and the drop. I gotcha.
Yes.
Okay, I gotcha. Okay. Do you want to add that to a fog buzz?
Yes. All right, and then yeah, I've been fixing bugs. Um, okay, I the next thing that I want to work on, or I guess that will be on me, the work order scheduler and error triggers on state changes.
Right.
And yeah, I have some ideas for that, and I think it should work.
Okay, that would be great. Another thing we talked about, which is sort of related, is in the log when a work order sched or an unattended import runs, is actually logging the particular template or sched rule that was run.
Right. Yes.
Is that on a list somewhere?
Yes. That's like the fourth item. So I don't know if you can see my screen.
I can.
Okay, the estimates. That's. I think we are good with that.
Yeah, we're good. We've given them a proposal. So hopefully we'll hear back soon.
Okay, there's an exception that shouldn't take so long. I want to try implementing some retries when we have a deadlock exception, just because deadlocks are often a temporary issue, and I think we could implement something, a retry on a low level, so that won't affect the much changes in the code.
Okay, I have a question on that. Are these retries will be triggered from the code or from the database somehow? That's just
From the code.
from the code.
Yes, because like we have data objects. Well, we have, I guess, 2 or 3 places where we run SQL commands, and from those places.
But if we have a deadlock, right?
Yes.
And we want to we do retry to run those commands. For some reason, we get deadlocks. But is this will solve? I mean, are we 100% sure that this will solve the issue and not cause more deadlocks? Or just, I don't know.
That's a good question.
I mean, okay. Well, what I was thinking is that, I mean, that this is a question to Chubby. Is there a way to handle these deadlocks on the database level? Because I think that will save us the round trip between the code and the database. So for some, I didn't. Is there a solution for that on the database level? Because I think maybe that will be more efficient to have.
Well, these deadlocks come something like 5 times a day.
What causes the deadlocks? Do we understand what's going on there?
No, we do not.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe we should see if we can understand why we're getting them before we implement a fix.
I mean, my problem with this is that when we retry, we don't know for sure if the deadlock is still there or not.
Right, we may just get another deadlock, right?
Yes.
I see what you're saying.
So the deadlock is when for instance, 2 clients try to update maybe a work order or something, right? So, and one locks a table and another one locks another table, and then the first one tries to access the table that is locked by the second one. And if you run, so first when the database sees that this is a deadlock and chooses one of them to be the deadlock victim,
Mm-hmm.
The other command will just continue running. So I guess if you retry, then it shouldn't deadlock again. If the command is too long, maybe then it will deadlock. So if there's a transaction that takes a lot of time.
But in the same time, we will still be running these queries. So I don't see how this will solve. I mean, I think it will solve most of the cases, but it's not a 100% solution. And I was thinking that do we know for sure is that this lock is what kind of lock? I mean, if this is a table lock or just a row lock. For instance, if I update the ticket, and obviously that ticket has a couple of rows on the table, is just those rows got locked, or the whole table, or these kind of questions? I think we should know these answers before we jump in and implement this.
Okay, so I don't know the questions, but I know that
You don't understand
I've been trying to understand these deadlocks like a year ago.
I see.
And I got nowhere.
What, I mean, if you Google the error, what do you get? Is there anything in Stack Exchange or? I mean, if we're the only ones encountering this problem, that tells us something.
And it's saying that
do we tell the database what kind of locking strategy we are using? I mean, if we try to insert or update one of the data, do we tell it, okay, this is a lock, or this is an exclusive lock, or something like that?
Was deadlocked resources and another process. Error 1205, huh?
This is a stored procedure, right? I mean, which got choose to be the deadlock victim.
Yes.
But in other situations, we don't have stored procedures. We have other queries.
Yeah, we have filter by custom, for instance.
I see.
I just Googled error 1205 deadlock. Some stuff came up. Kind of gave general advice, though. Trap or catch deadlock errors so that you can rerun the transaction that is chosen as the deadlock victim. Find out what is causing your deadlock events. You can do this in one of two ways. Either run a SQL Server profile or trace to catch and record the deadlock event, or you can enable some SQL Server trace flags that record the details of the deadlock event to the SQL Server log. In the vast majority of cases, you can identify the cause of your deadlock events and remedy the situation through either a structural change in the database schema or a logical change to the code involved responsible for the deadlock event.
Hello?
Hi.
Who is that? Oh, hey, Levy.
Hey, can you hear me? Okay, you can hear me. That's good. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the one I was looking at.
The Stack Overflow.
No, that wasn't the one I was looking at, although that's certainly a good one. Hey, Levy, we're discussing deadlocks.
Okay.
I don't think we've got a very good handle on why we're getting them. And we've got some ideas. You know, one of the things that I guess one of the suggestions is that, okay, well, you trap the deadlock in a catch block and you rerun the query. And Zoli brought up the point that maybe we should understand what's going on before we do that. You have any experience with deadlocks? In SQL, I mean, not in general. You there, Levy? Hello? We lose Levy? We lose everybody? Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
you.
Okay. Chubby, why don't you dig into this a little bit? Maybe we can discuss it with Levy offline.
All right. Then what should be the priority of this? Because I think this will take like some days, maybe without a result, but yeah, let's try. Okay, so we have the state change trigger.
I'd really like to see that state change trigger. So if we can bump the state change trigger up to the next thing and maybe doing some research on the deadlocks next.
Okay, I got thrown out from Google Hangout. So we had this deadlock problem for a while now. Then we solved it by reducing the number of transactions. Do we see the deadlocks in the same place for the same actions?
You mean if it's recurring?
Well, I don't mean if it's recurring. So previously the major deadlocks were when there were a lot of requests from TP Mobile, and they were trying to read from maybe it was a custom fields table, or I don't know, but then okay, here we got the deadlock. Yes, it's the custom grids. So the memorize that is used and different filter views.
Why are those locking an object if they're doing a read?
Chubby, we looked into this.
Well, if you do a read, you don't want some other part of the system to update that table while you are reading.
Well, I guess, yeah, to get the most recent data.
Well, is that standard operating procedure? I guess I always assumed that if you're doing a read, you just got the data that was available when it read it. And, if a write was going on, you...
Yes, as I remember, when we looked into this a while ago, we did some research on the locks, and you can basically tell when to lock the table and when not to lock the tables. And yeah, this was like standard operating procedure, and we didn't end up changing it because of that. Chubby, am I right?
Right. Yes.
Do you have the article, or you have a URL? Can you remember that, or do you remember that when we looked at?
No. Okay, we have a note. We lower the number of requests coming from TTMobile, optimize the query that reads the work orders from TTMobile, implemented some indexes.
Yeah, but this is from 2 years ago. I remember removing some triggers, and developing. Yeah, and this was the TTMobile work order request, and what we did is we reduced the time between or actually increased the time between the syncs, background syncs. We moved it from 1 minute to 5 minutes, and that reduced it. But yeah, this has an end. So, for instance, if the number of users grows, then the number of queries and transactions grow with it. So deadlocks can occur.
Okay.
So I'm not sure so what kind of research can we do realistically that will help us?
Well,
so what is that we can do?
The kind of questions I have is that are we over locking these objects? Do we really need to be locking as much as we are? That's one. The other is, are we? I mean, if you're doing a read and you lock the table, that just doesn't sound right to me. It just sounds like you're asking for trouble. No, I'm not a database expert, but.
Well,
I mean, what if we didn't lock it? What's the worst that would happen? You'd read a record that was partially updated, I guess.
Yes, and maybe you would read a record that was not there when you. I mean, it was inserted in the meantime that you were reading.
Well, that's okay, because I mean, if you'd read it 2 seconds before, it wouldn't have been there either. You get it the next time you read.
Yes, but if you, like for instance, we are reading a work order which has an asset transaction and an asset, and maybe another client is just creating all this, and the asset transaction is already created, but the work order is not yet created.
Right. So it's basically partial data. So what could happen in that case? I think an exception would occur because it might.
Well, in this case, you wouldn't. I guess you wouldn't see that because we are reading the work order first, so we start with the work order and then join the asset transaction. And so if the work order is not there yet, then that's not a problem. But the problem is if you want to read the custom text and custom static text tables, those would be empty, or those could be empty because those are created after the asset transaction and after the asset is created.
See, the problem is you're taking what's supposed to be, you know, a multitasking, multi-threaded, multi-user system, and by throwing in all these deadlocks, you're forcing it to be single-threaded. Or
well,
act like
it's not necessarily true because if you look like if you look at it in a different angle, so this is standard procedure. This is how MS SQL operates by default. We didn't change anything. Now the problem is that how we operate our processes are complicated processes, and they span across several tables.
Right.
And that brings problems. Now we minimize the number of deadlocks by reducing the number of transactions operating on the database with the complex schema. Now this problem occurs again, so we have to come up with a solution. So one solution I'm not sure if this solves anything, but or the whole deal, but one idea would be to turn the read lock off, and let's see what happens, but let's test it to see what happens. We have to think about if turning the read lock off. So if we turn the read lock off, we end up with partial data, or we don't. We end up with like those records won't get returned. That's not a huge problem, because if you run the query again in 10 seconds, or after a minute, in a minute, then those records will appear. Our problem could be if the app breaks, if we get constant exceptions because of this. That would be a problem.
Right.
So I think we should do some research in this direction, not in the direction of, okay, why do we need to use do we need to use read locks, or we don't? Because by default, yeah, it's a good idea to have deadlocks. Those are the database defaults.
Well, I'm thinking out loud here, but you have a scenario where someone's where someone's updating an edited view, which they do a lot, right? And if they lock TBL work order and asset while they're updating that table, that's preventing anything else from going on, right? So that means that 350 mobile clients plus whoever's on the web, but that can't do any transactions while that edited view is being updated.
Right. So yeah, there exists a limit exists. So that I think it will wait a little bit. But the problem is that too many concurrent threads try to do this, and too many concurrent threads try to read from it. So when they update, they need to have a lock. They need to lock I think that's an exclusive lock or something like that when you write into a table. I think another route that could lead to to reduce the number of deadlocks is to optimize basically the update and add scripts. And but I think that's a more complicated or more complex thing to do, because we're writing into several tables. We're writing into work order, asset trend, asset, TBL, custom text, custom static text, plus log tables, plus everything. And if we optimize that part of the equation, so that script, then maybe that will help us as well. But I don't know.
Well, the other thing that I think would improve performance in general, it also could minimize deadlocks, is doing some kind of partitioning, right?
Right. Yeah. That's a speed up. And actually, the deadlocks are a performance issue as well, because if that query would run in just a fraction of fractions, then it won't occur.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't think we're going to solve this meeting, but let's open up this in Pandora's box and see what we can figure out.
Okay. So, what actions should we take? Because I know we talked about partitioning and archiving, but that's like for the long haul as well.
Right.
Should we look into trying to disable the read locks?
Well, let's understand that, right? Is that an option? The other is implementing. I guess right now, well, Chabi had talked about somewhere in the code doing a retry in a catch block if we have a deadlock. Of course, that won't
that won't fix the root cause. That's just
right. Although it'll prevent the user from seeing an error, I guess.
All right.
Well, yeah, could be, but the deadlocks the deadlocks make the database slower in general, because it's and solving the deadlock. I'm not sure how how does a deadlock get solved? One of the processes gets killed.
You're
but
right.
in what time frame?
I guess if you have a deadlock, that's not tied to a time frame, because
So it's being done right away.
yes,
Okay,
that's just my guess.
Okay, but killing a process is puts also load. So all the deadlocks put a load on the database server, which doesn't actually help. So yeah, doing it in the catch block might help, but it doesn't really help. But we could give it a try.
No,
Okay.
this won't solve the root cause, and the users won't see it's
So
a temporary fix.
So at a 40,000 foot level, it sounds like we need to be sure we understand deadlocks. Then we want to try and figure out how to minimize the deadlocks. And then the third thing is what actions to take if we get a deadlock.
Right.
But I certainly don't understand enough about deadlocks right now to suggest anything intelligent. You guys are probably a little further along the curve than I am, but it sounds like we could still learn a little bit about what this is. See if someone else has some ideas we can steal.
Okay. Yes, so deadlocks will occur, that's for sure. We can assume that they will occur. If a deadlock, I think that's a good plan. If a deadlock occurs, then we might want to go with a try catch and rerun the transaction. And then the main goal would be to minimize the deadlocks with
Right.
maybe turning the read lock off, and ultimately to partition the database in order to get elevated performance.
Right. I mean, it just intuitively it seems like, if you're locking something like the custom text table, and someone's reading a individual record, the chances of there being a collision seem like they'd be really small. But if you're locking the table, you're preventing that transaction from running.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then let's turn on those flags on the database that show some additional information, which tables were deadlocked or which resources were deadlocked,
Mm-hmm.
so we can understand what is happening.
Okay, that sounds good. Hey, Chuck, I know you're getting ready to get on the road. Is there anything particular you want to cover?
No, I think we're okay. I mean, you and I covered the stuff yesterday. I think
Physically you're here, but mentally you left hours ago. Huh?
No, not that. I've already been on the phone with several people this morning during this call.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the big issue is just going to be the assignment, finding these DSTX tickets, and then how to assign them, and are we writing back everything we need to DSTX? That's going to be the wrestling match the rest of the week and early next week.
Okay. I mean, this is very similar to what they're doing with Remedy, right? So what is the confusion?
Well, the big confusion is that during the day they get a couple of Remedy tickets, so it's not nearly as hard to route them. They look at the old Remedy tickets. They look at the census, and that's it. But for these tickets, they get, there's probably 50 each day per region.
Mm-hmm.
They get moved around a lot more. Guys have several of them on their routes. So it's a lot more work intensive.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's going to be the issue. Plus the figuring out how to route them. So my recommendation is not to try to route them out of the assigned beta, but to try to route them out of the SRO tab, because you can set up the columns and give yourself more information and do better filtering in order to figure out who you want to send to a particular job.
Mm-hmm.
But
okay.
So then the question is, okay, well, how do I set up my columns and just all that stuff.
Okay. I looked at your documents. They looked pretty good. And I sent it to Greg Schultz. I had a weird conversation with who is Greg Schultz? Is he a supervisor, or is he?
No, Greg is the guy who runs he's Vinny's counterpart in Connecticut and Hudson Valley.
That's what I thought. Although Paul led me to believe that he was a supervisor.
No.
And because you saw that email where you couldn't find that ticket, and you forwarded it to Paul.
Yep.
And I went in and I found the ticket immediately.
Yep.
And so Paul talked to him on the phone. Then Paul called me back and basically said that he was embarrassed and he's feeling bad because he forgot how to use the system. Is there anything that we have to help him? And so at that point I sent him those two documents, or two of the documents that you had did, and sent him that email saying, hey, if you want to get online, I can kind of walk you through this.
Yeah.
So that's what the scenario was.
Right. Yeah, I mean he doesn't really use TechTrack like like his people do. So I'm surprised he didn't. But maybe they aren't familiar enough with it yet either. So
okay.
They're all brand new up there, whereas Vinny's been using TechTrack for at least 8 years.
Okay. Well, brand new because they're new to Cablevision, or because they just haven't been using the tool?
Some of both.
Okay.
Yeah, some of both.
Gotcha.
It's a whole new group. This rock group is brand new. So.
Oh, okay.
And I think they brought Greg in from outside. Some of the people came from the field service side in what they called the RCC, but they never used TechTrack either. So.
Okay. Okay. There was a bug that I guess you and Zoli were working on last week, and I remember seeing that Zoli had reproduced it, but I don't remember what happened after that. Or is this already a distant memory with you guys?
It wouldn't show up for a guy even after it was assigned to him. I think that was what Zoli was tracking down and was able to.
Yeah, we discovered this, and I created a case to it. It's not done yet because mainly I've been taking care of the bugs what we have on last week and even this week, and I started to work on the assignment engine. But technically, the solution that we both agree together with Chuck is that if the guy has already a ticket on his device, but he tries to search for that specific ticket, we should just warn him that that specific ticket or even one or more tickets are already in his device. And the simple solution is just show him a pop-up saying that these tickets with these ticket numbers are already on your phone. Because Chuck received many of complaints that the guy searched for a specific ticket and it wouldn't show up. But the tickets were already in his device. So that was the problem mainly. We had other problems, but every major things got fixed. Related to client.
Okay.
So I guess I should explain what was my progress, right?
Yeah, sure. Are we done, Chabi?
Yes.
Okay.
I think.
Okay. Good.
After the deadlocks, I think I should.
The deadlocks and the state changes, I guess, are the big things. Oh, I created a FogBuzz yesterday that I wanted to ask you about. Where
about the work order scheduler.
Yeah, the work order scheduler, where I couldn't set a pull down to a specific value.
Yes, I'm working on that.
Okay. Okay, cool. I'll follow up with you with that later then.
Okay. Can I ask you something?
Sure.
If you in the Hangout, you can click on my name, so it will dynamically change on whoever is speaking. Because once you click on someone, it will log to that person, and then.
I'm clicking on you, and it ain't happening. Okay, wait a minute. I guess I got you. Okay, you're looking at my screen? This doesn't make any sense. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm looking at your screen. Just make sure it's not, there is no rectangle around.
Click it again and click it again. Like if it's highlighted with a white border, then it means it's active, and if you click it again, it shouldn't.
Right.
Like that, yeah.
Hold on, let me.
Okay.
Help! Okay, I turned off my screen share. Click on Chabi. Okay.
I see Google Chrome on your screen, Chabi.
I see Chabi's screen, but Chabi's looking at Levy, apparently.
Yeah, just.
Don't look at me. Don't look at me.
Levy's got that, oh my god, I'm about to get married look.
Actually, that's after the wedding, so I already got that.
Oh my god, I got married look. What did I do? Ugh. Okay. Was that what you needed me to do, Choppy? I guess I lost the thread of that.
Yeah, but recorded Hangout in what goes to YouTube.
Gotcha. Okay, back to Zoli.
Okay, let me share my screen. Are you guys seeing it?
I think so. I see OSP mobility.
Okay, so in the past couple of days, I've been working on specifically on the tech list.
Mm-hmm.
I've managed to implement that the tech list right now is using the working set data. So the ticket is signed, the ticket closed, or data are coming from the working set.
Oh, cool.
Also, we had a specific case about displaying the GPS, some sort of GPS data. This age is actually the age of the GPS data, and also you requested that we should display here a tilde inside the icon if the GPS is not that accurate. I mean,
Right.
if it's not that, I mean, if the accuracy is above 20 meters,
Okay.
that tilde will be displayed. And also, if you open up one of these, this also using the working set data, and we displaying the assigned tickets on green and the closed tickets on this dark screen, what we used before. I've added this link, so tickets can be opened here. As an addition, I mean, all these changes, I mean, I had a separate case about tech list was really, really slow. So these changes actually sped up the tech list by 3 to 5 seconds. And but we clearly have some other issues, and that problem you mentioned, that when you hit multi-pane, I mean the assignment engine here it is displayed a white page, and I've been trying to make workaround on that, but I came to a conclusion that maybe, I mean, one solution would be is to have two iframes. I mean, this page is displayed under an iframe, and in order to load this, we have to wait the full page to load. So that means that if somebody hits assign beta, this left pane is actually loaded, and only after that we got the chance to start to load this page. So my suggestion is that maybe we should move this page also on the iframe, and when somebody hits move the assignment engine, these two iframes could load on the same time. We can initiate that page load at the same time, so that would actually save us at least 4 or 5 seconds, and it will give the user the impression that it loads faster. So this is the idea which I will be working on the future. And you have a question, Chubby?
Yes, I have something to mention, which the problem is that if you are using a session on the page, the session is locking until one of the pages is loading. So you cannot load two pages at the same time.
But we have this app summary, which actually loads multiple pages at the same time. If I go here, you will see that these widgets are actually they are loading at the same time, and these are separate pages.
Yes,
so
but
actually,
they don't
concept
appear
is
at the same time. You see, they appear one after the other.
It's an illusion.
Yeah.
Zoli, a quick question. Why do you think that the iframe is being loaded after the main frame has completed to load?
Because iframe only starts loading after the main page got loaded.
I don't think that's true.
Well, it is because the main page needs to be rendered, and we have on the iframe source on that main page. And
okay, where is the iframe container located in the markup?
After this grid.
After this grid. Okay, let's put it before that grid.
I'm sorry, didn't hear it.
Let's put it before that grid. Let's put it above that grid. Yeah.
That won't solve it. That won't solve the issue.
Okay, because it's processing top down. So when the page gets downloaded, it's being processed top down. So if the iframe container is above the content, then that should be loaded before the first grid. And I don't think that it is true that it has to wait until the main container is being fully rendered. That is not true. I'm saying that's not true.
But
and I've been playing around this, and I know, and I confirm that it is true. And I've been playing.
How did you confirm it?
I'm sorry.
How did you confirm
it? I confirmed by I created a script which is actually executing in a first. That is the first instruction on the page. That is not waiting until the onload event is fired. So what I've been doing on that script is
the onload event is being fired after the iframe is being loaded. After the iframe has finished loading.
It blocks the onload event. The main onload event it gets blocked until. So the child iframes onload event, and actually it blocks the main.
Right, because so this is what happens is we get to the main frame, right? So the main frame has an onload event which fires after the whole everything, the whole markup and its child elements have finished rendering. So that's the main frame's onload event. Now the iframe's onload event fires after the iframe has completed its rendering. And that blocks the main frame's onload event. It's not the other way around. So, and the order of the elements in the markup it makes a difference in what order they are. So, I would suggest to try putting it above the first grid and see what happens then. And
I've been trying that, but keep in mind that we have some rules here, and I can't just, I don't see how we can put this above the grid. I mean, markup-wise, because we have some sort of rules which needs to be kept in mind. For instance, we have here flows, and this is a responsive site. So if I move. All these things should be working, right? So,
well, but we can. It doesn't mean that we can manipulate that to work.
What I've been trying is, and I've been trying to explain this, that I created. I mean, when this page got loaded, the first first thing I created an iframe, and I started. To initiate, I mean, I've been trying to load that in the background, and that kind of solved the issue. But after that, I still need a place to move that iframe somewhere because it has to go somewhere. So the problem is, there's no more.
No. It's not about. I don't think we have to prefetch the iframe and then manipulate the DOM, so basically move the iframe into a div. I don't think we have to do that. What I'm thinking, and I think it's worth trying out, even not on this page, but just create a test page with some content, with some random content, and printing a timestamp, and create an iframe and put it after and before that content, and also it should also print a timestamp. And you can also, you don't even need to do that. You could actually use the Chrome DevTools to check the time frame when.
Can you see my screen, Levi?
Yeah.
Levi, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
So the DOM is actually loaded under 1 second, but the main problem is that we wait 5 seconds to process, to even get the data from the left side, and that 5 seconds is happening before even it gets to the browser. So, and that second, and after this got loaded, only after that we can initiate this page to load. You see my point, or maybe we just can't discuss after the meeting, because I understand what you're saying, but I think, I mean, I have tried that, but it wasn't work. But we can discuss this outside of the meeting, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to take
Okay.
part in discussion.
Okay.
Okay.
Because, yeah, the main problem is that the page I don't think it's losing that we are losing that much time in rendering the page actually, but we are losing much time in the server side.
Yes,
Right,
that's correct.
to get the data.
Yes, and then what we could do is somehow process these two pages simultaneously. At least when we have the second page's URL, we could start in another thread to.
But I mean, I see what you're saying. Like hitting, I see. Yeah, we can do that on the server side.
Something like that, or that what you suggested with 2 iframes. But I think that won't work because of the session locking, and I am 150% sure that the session will lock, because I encountered this issue, and I know
Okay,
for
but
sure.
in the client, okay, we can discuss this. I mean, all right.
Another quick thing. Can you open up an arrow here of the for the text list? No, for the text list. Down a little bit below.
Oh, I don't hear you exactly, so can you repeat?
Expand
an arrow.
Expand the text.
Expand the text, right.
Okay.
Can you click on a work order number? Okay, cool. Yeah, I was wondering where that window gets rendered.
I'm seeing his code for some reason. I'm not seeing the screen.
Me too.
Really?
Yeah, it's.
Oh.
Uh-oh. Oh my God.
Screenception.
You see it now?
No, I see your code.
Still the code.
Are you seeing it now?
Yes. I see the ticket. There. Okay. Can we make that blue instead of green?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Besides this, I have one question to ask. When somebody tries to assign some tickets to one of the technicians here, when they drag and drop this counter will automatically increase. But that part is still missing if somebody assigns work orders to a technician, and that got automatically introduced to the working set. So what will happen at this point is when I assign a work order to a technician, the number will increase, but if the user hits refresh, it will still fall back to 22 until the client actually got the synchronization and actually adds tickets to the working set.
Right.
So that part is still missing, and that's the reason I didn't deploy this, because I think we want to have that before I deploy this.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Can you do a drag and drop?
Yes.
Can you do it again? I didn't see.
But it's
still running. It's slow. Well, part of this is that
it triggers the refresh button actually on the left.
And can you do it again? But don't let it go.
I don't let it go.
Okay. I see the highlight. I was wondering if the row is being highlighted where you're gonna drop it, like the drop container. But okay, it's okay. Cool.
Okay.
From time to time, your Visual Studio pops up.
I'm sorry about that. Let me just.
Is that another screen on another screen?
I have another screen, but it's on the. I mean, Visual Studio and everything is on one screen. Okay, so. Are you seeing now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We see.
Okay. Besides this, yesterday and the day before that, we have an exception on the client.
Okay.
And
before we leave the screen, I got a couple questions. Okay, so on the filters right now, this is the tech view, and there is no date filter.
Here, yes.
And so we're just going to remove the date filter from the right side.
What kind of date filter?
Well, if you look at the
old, right?
If you look at the current what's currently deployed, there's a date filter.
Right.
And so
list on the right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean that may be okay. I guess this is more of a question for Chuck. Do we need the date filter at all on the right side, or if we just go with the tech list, are we okay?
I don't know. I'd have to think through the scenarios. Hang on, I got a call coming in. I got to deal with it.
All right.
I see.
Right, that.
This is not displayed here.
Which may be okay. Which may be okay.
That is how we planned it. At least that was how we did it.
I mean, I'm on my local now, and I'm on TT backup, but it's not shown. I mean, on production it is there. But
no, but we talked about not having the date because it doesn't make sense, because if the tech list, the loading list for the text, we want to see all texts.
Or the work orders that are assigned.
And yeah, we're not filtering for work orders for a certain date filter with a certain date filter, but we're filtering for the text, and then we're showing their working set.
Okay, I think that I think what you've got is okay.
okay.
I'm a little worried about the speed, but I guess we just need to try it.
Yeah,
the assignment.
Well, yeah, if it takes several seconds to assign a work order, that's going to be very frustrating.
So why don't we? Okay, I know why we wait for the update. I know why we wait why we have that loading up there, and we're waiting for the data to come back, for the reply that says, okay, it's being assigned and it's being removed. So we run the filter again. But I think in this case it might make sense to just automatically remove it from the list.
That is, yeah, we had, I mean, I think 6 or 7 months ago when this page came to be final. I've had that implemented. So it's actually when you move a ticket from left to the right, it automatically removes. And it is happening on the client, but the worst part on this is that at some point, if you do assign a bunch of tickets, this grid gets empty, so it won't contain any tickets. And besides that, you see that at this point we are searching. I mean, we are filtering for pending. But if somebody changed this to the closed or something like a different filter, that client-side removing thing cannot be applied because
right. So basically, what you're saying is we might not need. So it's not necessarily removing it from the list, but updating it. It might be that just the technician changes or the whatever, or the work order status changes if we are not filtering for specific work order statuses. So basically,
that is a great idea actually. But that is also complicated because remember these columns are actually dynamical, so we have to check if I mean a couple of columns like work order status and technician are there, or even due date, because in some situations the due date gets increased if the due date is empty. I mean, if they assign.
Okay. So what if we don't lock the screen and I think we can do like a behind-the-scenes update for this. So what if I drag this over, I drop it,
yes,
and then instead of the records, maybe it gets grayed out, or maybe it should say something like assigning ... And we do an AJAX. It's not a full postback, but we do we write a custom JavaScript function which updates a specific row in the grid. And what that does, it basically queries that grid, and it checks if it needs to update that grid, or if it basically updates it, but it somehow has to also figure out if it doesn't correspond to our current filters, it removes it from the list. So what I'm saying is we don't lock the grid, and we also display something that it's being processed.
Okay.
So I'm thinking.
Yeah, we can do that.
So so it's kind of the same deal when requesting for you know a huge download, what we can't process right away. So if you do like a detailed export, you hit the detailed export, and we might say, okay, we're going to email this to you, and we're going to do it in the background, or we might show a downloads. We might have a download link, and it will show up there, building download. And I've seen this in one of the apps that I use. I requested like a download with complicated filter, and what it did is it said, okay, building download, and when the download was actually ready, the file was ready to be downloaded, a link appeared. So the idea would be the same. It doesn't lock the screen. The user can continue with its work. It just says that assigning, because it's a longer process.
What happens if we skinny up that list on the left, like put in a census filter? So put in 74E in that census filter, for example.
I'm sorry, 7
You just type in 74E.
74E, like this.
E is in Edward.
E is in Edward. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so refresh.
And try to sign now.
There's only one. How can there only be one?
Okay,
how about just 74? Get rid of the E.
Oh, yeah. I think it doesn't really matter. The number of records displayed don't really matter because it's still a query that needs to run against the database. And now that query contains an additional filter. So we can assume that it will take the same amount of time. I think it didn't run.
Okay, here's my 2 cents on this. So after the user assigns the snippet, I think we should gray out these controls. I think, or I don't know. Let me just think. At least the group operation things should be grayed out.
Yeah, that's not bad. Gray out
wait, why would you gray them out? Why? I just want to understand what's the logic there.
Because they've been assigned.
So not just gray out, but basically set assigning. So just get rid of all the icons here and the checkbox, and it should set assigning, and then gray it out a little bit.
What we're trying to do is avoid the refresh on the left-hand side every time a ticket's assigned.
Okay.
So basically increase the perceived speed of the UI.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I see.
Because right now the problem is it will still take the same amount of time to update the database and to query the database. That we can easily change that.
Mm-hmm.
So what we want to do is we want to create the illusion that the UI is fast, that the operation is fast by not locking the UI. Okay, so what I was suggesting is let's gray it out and display an assigning, because the user needs some feedback, because he has to know that, okay, that is being taken care of, assigning, and then when that complete, then that operation is done, then behind the scenes it should update, maybe it removes it or whatever.
Yeah, I'd like to understand what the query is that it's running, because it seems like if I could write a query in SQL where I'm filtering on starts with 74 in the location ID field, and I'll bet it runs a lot faster than the time it's taking to update. There it is, huh? All right.
You want me to send this over to you, or?
Due date, where parent ID, role, like 7.4, AT comments like 7.4, where, huh, all right, sure, send it to me.
I just sent it over to you.
Via Skype.
So the question you guys asked me before I left was, do I think we need to have the date range over on the right-hand side? And honestly, I just don't think anybody is going to really understand what that means. So in an ideal world, I think what we would have over there is the ability for them to see what's in the guy's working set. That would be the default. And then if they needed to expand it, the only other thing you'd want to see is show me everything that's assigned to him. You know, everything assigned. That's, you know, like all time active, right? Those are, in my opinion, those are the only two views you'd really want to see.
Everything assigned, but corresponding to my work, or everything assigned like everything?
Like everything. Like, well, there's already
like the born of the universe.
Yeah. But I thought the tech view is specifically for the working set. Is basically a.
Well, what I said was that would be the default. That's typically what I want to see. What they're going to want to see. What is the equivalent of what the tech is seeing? But the only other thing that I think they might want to see is show me everything that, you know, everything they've got.
All right. So what we
but I would argue that if we showed them the working set, that, you know, maybe that's good enough.
But what everything that they have is what we currently have deployed. Is that correct? So right now, what's on production is doing exactly what you just said. We are showing every work order that is assigned to the guy.
Mm-hmm. From now to the end of time, if he sets his date filter right. That's correct.
That's correct. Okay. So yeah, that's what I was thinking, is be able to switch between those two views: the tech, the tech view, and then the work view, or the.
That's right. That's
Right. Okay. Sure.
And the default would be, basically what's in his working set now.
Right. So we could have something like, if you scroll up, something like there or whatever that says maybe, yeah, that enables us to switch between show all work or just show working set.
Are the guys familiar with the working set thing?
Well, they call it my work, right? That's what we call it.
Okay.
So they refresh my work. So that's when I refer to my work to these guys, they kind of understand that's what they're getting. But no, I would say that is they don't really understand what that is.
But if they do what my work is, if they know where they have to go, then I think that's almost 90% of the way they're there.
It would be. It's not that. I mean, it's complicated to recalculate these counters based on those filters instead of using the my working set. But yeah, we can do it. I think.
Well, yeah.
Or we just, I don't know, display here an additional button or something which will open up that same collapsible, or I don't know, something like that.
No, I don't think we have to complicate the screen. Why don't we have a different iframe for the my work and a different for all work? And then we just change that iframe. It would just reload the page, basically.
My guess is that no one's going to use the date filtering. They just have too much trouble wrapping their brain around it.
You could get rid of the word date and and that would be a correct statement too.
I get rid of the word filter, you mean?
Yeah, the filtering. They just have the hardest time wrapping their head around filtering. Oh my God. I've been actually thinking about that, but this isn't the place to discuss it.
Well, work it out between Bozeman and Santa Fe.
Yeah.
Okay then, I will try to put these things on the Fogbox. Okay.
Okay. Hey, I ran that query in SQL directly, and it's running in less than a second.
But I'm using TT Backup, and I'm in Romania, and I don't know.
I understand.
Yes, but what was the time you've got on that?
Was it?
Click on the SQL on filter by custom.
4 seconds.
4 seconds.
No, it's 1 second and a half under the reader.
Oh, right.
That is 5 digits there.
15 seconds.
That's
and
the
0.2. So it's 0.2 milliseconds.
yeah, that was the time it ran.
No, that was 15
Then I don't
seconds.
see why it displays here 4 seconds.
That's when it started, from start.
Okay, and query time is. This is not 1.5.
No, it's 15.
15, okay, my bad.
Duration, okay.
All right. Well, so perhaps it's an issue with you running on TT Backup from Romania, although I don't entirely understand that.
No, that's just an issue of running on TT Backup, I guess. I mean, it's doesn't matter if it's from Romania or.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll address this later.
All right. Can I move on?
Yes.
So Let me just show something to you. Today I saw that a couple of guys are using our app with a mobile, with a phone, specifically an iPhone, and we got some exceptions based on that. And so here's the view that typical iPhone user are seeing if he's using the app on portrait mode. But if I switch this back to the I don't know what mode is
Landscape?
this. Yeah, this won't work because we actually didn't work on this, and it's I think we kind of need to work on this. And typically, the question what happens in this situation is actually we detect that the screen is much lower than it could display both panes, so we just fall back to the old design. So that means it will work how it is working on the old client. So I was just wanted to show you this, and maybe we should want to make some time to figure out how this should work in the first place, and also a little bit of time to make some sort of design, because we introduced a couple of features and those won't be available on the old version. That's one thing, and the other thing is we have much less space to everything, so we just might want to rethink how it works on smaller screens. I don't know, we have to deal with this. I mean, it's not good.
So the idea was that on a smaller screen, we
just fall back to how
right.
it was.
So fall back to the list. We have the same gestures. We have everything for the list. But so when we tap the item, the work order list, it slides away, and then what happens if you click it?
I don't know, honestly.
Okay, it probably loads it, but that div isn't visible. So what should happen is, okay, it loads it, but you should slide that div into the view, and that solves our issue, because well, maybe we have to do some additional stuff for like closing the tickets, for basically being able to come back to this list. But yeah, that's the idea. That's the idea how it should operate on a smaller screen. Not show both panes because there's no space, but there's plenty space to show the panes separately, so one at a time.
Okay, and what should happen with those buttons? What we have on the tablet version, like the start ticket, close ticket, undo ticket, these kind of buttons.
Can you open up the tablet version in a larger screen?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, something like this, like the start ticket.
Yeah, and if I hit start tickets,
okay,
we'll show up 3 buttons.
Okay, so yeah, so in that case, we would still have the first, like we want to make sure we have the same look like here. We have the icons, we have the same like gradients, and we have the same priority on the right-hand side. So it should basically be the same list, but only the list. Okay. So
And without this arrow, right?
Without that arrow, because it's gonna get down. Okay, if you hit the start shift, then it will go to it will slide away, and you will see what you see on the right-hand side with the collapsible panels and all the fields, and below that, docked, like currently like we have it docked right now, have the buttons. Okay, and when you hit start, I guess in that case, it will need to go back to the list. It will need to go back to the work order list, and then you can open a ticket or you can end the shift. And when you end the shift, you see the same screen like right now, SRO number and ticket type, or maybe that's not it. But then you will get the 3 buttons or the number of. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, it is.
So you just have to think about. You just have to think about so basically the user only sees one screen, one of the 2. So right now, if we don't go back, right now we don't have a way to go back to one screen or the other, because you can see both lists. But for instance, if the user does something to a ticket, like hits close ticket, we don't leave it to we don't leave him on the ticket screen. We go back, right? So he can choose another ticket. He can end his shift, or he can review even the closed ticket.
Okay.
And if he goes back to can you open a closed ticket? Isn't the last one a closed ticket, or that's a pending ticket?
It's closed.
Below the end shift. No, below the end shift.
This is a closed ticket.
Okay, hit it. Okay, now if he wants to check a closed ticket, we should allow that. So he hits the closed ticket. The list slides away. The second view slides in, and then we would have something like back to list, a button below back to list.
I see. Okay.
Because he doesn't have a way to navigate back to the list in case of a small screen.
What if he hits the hamburger menu?
Well, then the hamburger menu slides in, which is okay.
Yeah, that is working.
Okay, that's easy part.
Yeah. All right. So, okay, we have a plan on that. The only question is, how important is this?
Probably not as important as finishing the working set.
So yeah, maybe just a couple of guys with, or are they issuing iPhones?
No, they're like personal iPhones or whatever.
Oh, okay.
They like the phone because if they're like up in a bucket or something, they've always got their phone. They don't always have their iPad.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's all I've got.
Okay.
I was just checking the database about how many iPhone users we have now, or phone users. 8 now, which are iPhones. So for the others, I think LG. This is I'm not familiar with these, but I think LGL. So this particular is a phone.
Right. Android.
Android Razr, I think that is. So we have a couple of them. All right. That's all I've got. I will
Okay.
create Talkbox cases about these things.
Okay. All right, looks good. Let's take a 2-minute break, and I will be right back.
Okay. I have to get ready for a call, so I won't be back.
Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to let you know.
All right. Well, we'll pick up with Isti and then Harrison. So.
Okay, cool.
You too. We'll pick back up.
Okay. Take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Zoli?
Igen.
Csabi? Jó,
Igen.
még gyorsan azt, amit hogy hívják. Megnéztem itt, igen, értem, hogy te mit mondasz ezzel a lódolással, és az nem, de ki kéne próbálni, mert nem várja, tehát hogy nem kell megvárja, hogy be van lódolva a kontent, mert azt csinálja, megy fentről lefele, és kezd mindent populálni, és hogyha oda jut egy ilyen iframe-hez, akkor azt is elindítja.
De azzal van a gond, hogy a szerver oldalon van 4 másodperc, amíg feljön a...
Az egy dolog, de az nem kéne lelakkolja, ahogy hívják ott. Tehát, hogy most ugye az történik, hogy belódolja az egyik felét,
és
a
amikor
gridet,
megvan, akkor kezdi el a másikat.
de ez az, hogy nem akkor kezdi el a másikat, mert elkezdheti hamarabb is.
Elkezdheti hamarabb is.
Tehát tudod, mi történik? Tehát
Tehát,
mondjuk...
ha két iframe van, akkor pontosan ugyanazt csinálod, nem fogja párhuzamosan elkezdeni. Tehát igen, úgy van, az idő
Nem
az...
pontosan, mert akkor szimultán történik mind a kettő. Illetve találtam egy workaroundot, amivel szimultán el lehet indítani mind a kettőt. És így most egyik bevárja a másikat. Tehát akár meg kell várjam, hogy legyen valami az oldalon, ahhoz, hogy be tudjak tenni egy iframe-et.
Igen, hát persze, mert valami konténer kell neki valami host.
Na de az a gond.
Nem tudom, lehet, hogy ebben már pont belenéztél.
Én már belenéztem, ebbe kiveséztem, mindegy, de tehát én úgy látom, hogy igen, ezt néztem, és ezt a technikákat nézegettem, és az utolsót implementáltam is. Tehát az enyémben most implementálva van, és annyit sikerült elérni vele, hogy kb. 1 szekundummal hamarabb kezdődik el a lódolás.
De az iframe betöltése elkezdődhet legelőször. Én mondom, hogy tedd be, oda, s nézd meg, hogy mi van. Most nem foglalkozz azzal, hogy van rendezve, vagy hogy alatta felettek, vagy
jó, hogyha a legelső dolog az, hogy berakok egy iframe-et és elkezdem indítani, tehát a legelső dolog, tehát nincs is benne a markup az iframe, hanem én hozom létre. Megadom neki.
De tedd fel a markup az iframe-et.
I'm back.
Okay, we're doing the iframe.
Yeah, that's the only thing I understood. iframe. Okay, Isti, how you doing?
Okay, guys, take care.
Great.
Take care, Levy.
Bye. I've been working on the filtered grid. I finished up adding the columns to the views and fixed a few bugs as well with the multi-pane and job pages, and now I'm working on the 4243 with the asset edit, where the issue was that we had too many asset change logs,
right,
and it was loading them slow. So now I'm implementing to save a few changes only, which includes name, serial number, latitude and longitude, and only save these changes to make the update logs much few, to make them
well
fewer.
the problem was is that when it's doing an import, it's updating the asset.
Right.
And that's probably what we need to take a look at, is that it should be using asset to locate the record, but it's not necessarily updating the asset fields.
You mean the import?
On import, yeah. So this may be more of an import issue than a history issue.
I'm sorry. This is asset import. This is asset import, right?
No, when we import work orders, we have asset fields in the template, right?
Yes.
But the reason they're in the template isn't because we intend to update the asset. The reason they're in the template is so we can locate the asset, right? Because we want to link the asset to the work order. But I think the import is also updating the asset, or at least it's causing the asset history log to get written to. And so since we may have one asset that's being shared across, thousands of work orders, we end up with thousands of entries in the asset history log, even though nothing actually happened. And that's causing that log to grow and causing this thing to be slow. And
that's because we don't know if, I mean, if
that's because we don't actually track if something changed or not. We just write an entry that the asset was updated.
Right. Well, what I think we need to do is not update the asset fields on a ticket import. The asset field is just being used to locate the asset, to link the asset to the work order, but we shouldn't actually update the asset.
Yeah, in that situations, yeah, but
I'm not sure. Is there ever a situation where we update the asset? The only time I can think of is when we create a new asset.
I mean, I think there are code which is actually if we don't find any assets, I think let me just think. I think we're using. Yeah, you're right. You're right. We can do that.
I'm sorry, I was helping a customer. What's the question? Just so I make sure I understand.
Sure. The problem is we have these history logs for tickets and assets. And the asset history log on certain assets was growing extremely large and causing us performance issues.
Yeah.
And so the question is, why was it growing so large? And the reason is because if we've only got like 7 assets that represent the 7 different regions, which is the case for SRO and Remedy, is every time we import something that's attached to that asset, we're also updating the asset.
That's why I was wondering why that thing got bigger.
Right.
That table was getting bigger.
And so what I'm saying is that we probably shouldn't. If the only asset fields in the template are being used to locate the asset, then we shouldn't be updating the asset.
Yeah,
this won't affect if somebody's got a maintenance routine and they update an asset field, right?
On the added ticket.
Yeah, they update let's just use a power supply for example. We expose the location of that power supply, 3 poles north of Main Street. Sometimes they want the ability to modify the asset from the maintenance.
Right. No, this is just on import.
Okay, just on import. Okay. Yeah, got it.
I think that's where we're causing our pain. So what I think the solution is on the import, unless we specify to create new assets, we shouldn't be modifying the asset table.
And also, if we don't have any other asset fields besides next to the lookup field.
Right.
So if we have, then we should do update.
Yeah. Well, the one
we can
exception is
check
CLI. I think everything else
Why is
we
that?
should be updating the asset. Although on CLI we're not updating the I'm not sure if we ever update an asset or not. I don't think so. I think we always create a new one. But
I
anyway.
think we are creating because, as far as I remember, CLI is using the old
Right.
board, and that is, I think, creates assets.
So
Or I don't know. I'm not sure.
So yeah, it is using the old. So on this new, what do we call the new one? The generic import.
Generic import, yeah.
So on the new generic import, let's not update asset fields for ticket importing, unless it creates a new asset.
Or yeah, there are a couple of criteria, but yeah, we can do that. Okay, question.
Can we sorry, go ahead.
We can set up the lookup field specifically for every asset type. So we can choose if the lookup field can be the asset number or the asset serial number.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, for example, have an asset type which has a lookup field which is set for serial number, but on the import we have asset name, for instance, and serial number. In that situation, we do want to update, right? The asset fields.
I would say on a ticket import, no. If you need to update the assets, then you should be doing it with an asset import, not a ticket update.
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
Otherwise, we run the risk of somebody screwing something up.
Mm-hmm.
Increase the risk, rather.
Yeah. they're so clever they can always figure out a way to screw
They'll
it.
figure out a way to screw it up.
All right. Okay, we can do that.
So can you update 4243 SD to take a look at the import? And I guess you're probably going to need to work with Zoli on that.
Yeah. With this.
All right, boys and girls, I'm going to have to drop off now.
All right, well, you have a great trip.
Thanks a lot. You guys be good.
All right, you be careful.
Have a great holiday.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. Isti, anything else you want to discuss?
Actually, yes.
Okay.
On the assignment page, we have a feature to set views as default, and if any view was set as default, then that's what it's loaded when the page is loaded the first
visit.
First visit. Do we want to overwrite this with the last visited view or keep as it is and only keep the last visited view concept if there's no default view set?
I'm sorry, I had to take a call.
Alright. Yeah, so So now if I implement the last visited view concept to override the default view, then that's what will always be loaded, not the default, not the view which was set as default. Do we want to overwrite the default view with the last visited view concept, or keep it as it is and only implement the last visited view if there's no view set as default?
Which page are we talking about? I'm sorry.
The assignment page.
Can you show me the screen? This is the beta assignment, or?
Yes, yes.
The beta assignment and the asset edit pages, I guess.
No, the asset edit pages or.
Oh, okay, okay. This is the last. All right, I see what you're saying. Whether we want to save the last visit or the session information. Okay.
So we had a feature that when you created a view, you could set that as the default view, and basically when you would visit the page, it would load that view.
So do you want the default view or do you want the last view? Is that the question?
Right. Now how it works is it will take the last visited view if there's no view set as default.
It'll take the last view if there's no what?
No view set as default.
It would take the last view, well, if there's no default view, but if there's a default view, then open that, right?
Can you see my screen?
I think the way it's working now is fine on the Add Edit View pages.
Yeah, it's different there. I don't think we have default views there.
Sure we do. On the Add Edit Views?
Yeah, a default, global default view, but no, we can't set just any view as default. Right now, can you see my screen?
I can.
Yes, so this would be the default view. But this is Jones active view is loaded in because this was set as default. So whenever I access the sign page, this view will be loaded in, and not the other default. And this now has a bigger priority than the last visited view. So this won't be overwritten by the last visited view concept. But if we don't have any views set as default like this one, and this would be loaded in the first load, then then the last visited view would have higher priority than this one, and that would kick in.
How is Jones Active View set to default? I guess I somehow missed that.
Prior to when we had that grid or collapsible where we could set the views, we had a checkbox.
Oh, okay. Set this as my default.
Yes.
I guess it doesn't really make sense to have this as well, to have both.
Yeah, I think as a user, what what I'd prefer is to be able to set up the columns, and then when I go away and come back, they're the same. That would be the less frustrating thing. So basically, it would always return you to the last.
Right. I think we don't need this default feature at all. Yeah.
That may be true. Although, default, maybe the problem is the way it's named, right? It's almost like a factory reset, right? Get me back somewhere that's familiar.
Right.
I've completely hosed this up.
Alright, in that case, I will take this defaulting out and just implement the last visited view concept.
Well, okay, yeah, that may be fine. I guess if I change this though, right? All right, so suppose I go in and I edit this. So go click Manage Columns and do something, or change something.
Right. Yes.
He's on production, so I guess.
Joan Bodek.
You want me to change it?
Well. See, I guess what's potentially confusing is that we labeled a view, right? And so if you change it, and you go back to that page, and it says Jones Active View, but in fact it's not, because it's your last visit view.
Now, in this case, no, because now will always be Jones Active View, because that's set as default. And,
so it's always going back to Jones Active View.
Now, yes, but that's what we will take out.
Uh-oh.
That's, I guess, because Zoe's working on that page.
Yeah, that might be.
Yes.
But anyway, now if I would edit the filters or columns or anything, that in the background would save it in the active view, which is the last visited view. And if I would load in the default view, then that's what would load in the active view. Otherwise, also if I change the view to, let's say, Jones Active View, that would then the active view would be overwritten, would become the same as the Jones Active View. So in that case, that would be the same case as this one, only it would be more flexible.
Okay. I guess what I'm not clear on is that if I go, okay, so from right here, if I make a change and I go to this page and I come back, what am I going to see? What you're proposing is it'll save my it'll come back to my change, right?
Yes.
So what will it say up there under the view list?
What he proposes is to say my view or not.
My view?
Yes, default view.
Or default view. I think that would be fine.
Yes.
The thing that we don't want to do is we don't want to modify a view, a saved view, unless we're sure that's what they want to do. No, and we don't want to tell them they're looking at a saved view if they're not.
Yeah, the only time we save on a save view is when we press the save button.
Okay.
For example, if I would.
And whatever we do, we don't want to make this as hard to use as Google Hangouts.
Actually, this whole active view thing is in the background. The user isn't even aware of it.
I think it works pretty well. The only problem is that we're all using NNJ to log into production. We're stepping all over each other. So we probably should set up our own accounts. But anyway, I keep telling Chuck, well, we need to set up separate logins, so you have yours and I have mine. And he goes, okay, well, mine's NNJ, so go set up yours. Okay, that looks good. Harrison, you got anything you want to share?
I think so.
Okay, we deployed, I guess, an update to the UDP server. It's on production, seems to be working reasonably well. And what Harrison's working on now is a mechanism to detect when we're missing messages based on the sequence number and request the retransmission. Is that right, Harrison?
Yep.
Okay. And probably, if we need to, Pizzoli offline rather than do that now.
Harrison, have you checked? We had a couple of exceptions coming from the fleet trip. Have you got the time to look at it, or should we do that together?
From the fleet trip?
We have a function which saves the trip. It's a function called save fleet trip.
Okay.
And we have some sort of exception. I haven't got the time to look at it, but I just wanted to ask you that. Have you checked it?
No, I didn't know about it, but I can look at it. I can take a look at it today.
Yeah, we also have some exceptions about coming from the convert time function. We should probably take a look at these exceptions, especially after. I mean, we did the deployment. I mean, I did the deployment on Tuesday, so whatever we got from Tuesday until now, we should take a look at that. Okay.
I guess we only have that string was not recognized as a valid datetime. I'm looking at the exception, and that's the recent exceptions.
I think I just need to put some better exception handling in there. I believe that typically happens when we have zeros coming in, which happens when it hasn't gotten when the modem hasn't had a fix yet, or it can't get a fix because it's parked somewhere where it can't communicate with the satellite, like a parking garage. Then it just sends zeros for the date.
Mm-hmm.
If I select the exception log from Tuesday until today, I will see other exceptions like what I've mentioned, but we can take a look at that, I guess.
Okay.
And I can help with it, I guess. If you need any help, just ping me, okay?
Okay.
Okay, guys, I got to go handle some Cablevision questions.
Madness.
Madness, right? So let me go do that. And the other thing that we're supposed to be doing is trying to figure out how to migrate this stuff to behind their firewall. So, Chabi, I guess I'll talk to you about that tomorrow or Monday, and we can go from there.
Okay.
Okay, guys, I appreciate it, and
Sure.
we'll be in touch.
Okay.
All right, take care.
Take care. Bye bye.